The galaxy was peaceful. It had been peaceful for 500,000 years. 12 different alien species worked together in what they called the Hegemony Coalition. They traded goods, shared technology, and settled disputes with words instead of weapons. War was almost forgotten. High Chancellor Vexitar stood on the bridge of his massive ship, looking out at the stars. His blue skin gleamed under the soft lights as he reviewed reports from across the galaxy. Everything was normal. Everything was safe. The coalition kept order, and all species followed the rules they had made together. Chancellor, his aide, said, walking up with a data pad. The archaeological teams have found more ruins on Kepler 442b. Vextar sighed. More ancient ruins. They found them everywhere these days. Old buildings, broken machines, and strange symbols that no one could read properly. The archaeologists claimed they belonged to something called the Terran Empire. Most people thought it was just a legend. What did they say this time? Vextar asked. They think the ruins are over 500,000 years old, the same age as all the others. But these ones are different. They found weapons, very advanced weapons. Vextar looked at the images on the data pad. The weapons looked sleek and dangerous even after all this time, but they were just old metal and circuits now. Nothing to worry about. File the report with the others, he said, and remind the teams not to waste too much time on these old stories. Far away on the edge of known space, something moved in the darkness between stars. Ships, sleek and silent, traveled through the void. They had been traveling for a very long time, and now they were coming home. Commander Lee Jinwoo stood in the command center of his ship, watching the star charts on the main screen. His dark eyes were calm, but there was something ancient in them, something that had seen too much. Commander, Dr. Park Mirai said from her station, we're approaching the inner galaxy. I'm picking up signals from multiple civilizations. Lee nodded slowly. How many species? At least 12 major ones. They seem to be working together. Some kind of alliance or coalition. And Earth? Doctor. Park's face grew sad. Still dead, sir. No signs of life. But the automated systems are still running. Still waiting. Lee had expected this. Earth had been dead for 500,000 years. His people had made sure of that when they left. It was better that way. Safer for everyone. What about the other human worlds? He asked. Also dead. But, like Earth, the systems are still active. Still guarded. Captain Kim Do-hyun looked up from his tactical display. Sir, we're being scanned. Long-range sensors from multiple sources. They know we're here. Good, Lee said. It's time they knew. We had returned. On the Coalition's Central Command Station, alarms were beeping softly. Scholar Zilandra, a tall alien with silver skin and large eyes, was studying the readings with growing excitement. This is impossible, she whispered. These ship designs, I've seen them before. Where? Asked her assistant. In the ruins, in the old texts. These are Terran ships. Her assistant laughed. The Terrans are extinct. Everyone knows that. They disappeared 500,000 years ago, if they ever existed at all. But Zilandra was not laughing. She had spent her whole life studying the ancient ruins. She had seen the evidence that others ignored. The Terrans had been real. They had been powerful. And now, somehow, they were back. She sent an urgent message to High Chancellor Vexitar. War Chief Mordan of the brutal empire received the news while training with his warriors. He was a huge alien with thick armor and massive arms. His species believed in strength above all else. Terrans, he laughed, showing sharp teeth. You mean those weak creatures from the old stories? If they ever existed, they were probably pathetic. That's why they disappeared. His soldiers laughed with him. The brutal empire was the strongest military force in the coalition. They had never lost a battle. If these so-called Terrans wanted to fight, Mordan would crush them easily. Send scouts, he ordered. I want to see these legendary warriors for myself. Commander Lee's ship moved deeper into Coalition space. Behind him, hidden in the darkness, thousands of other ships followed. They had been building and preparing for 500,000 years. They had learned patience. "Commander," Ambassador Choi Yuna said from her station, "we're receiving multiple communications. All the major species want to talk." "Put them through," Lee said. The main screen filled with alien faces. Vextar looked curious but cautious. Mordan looked amused and hostile. Others looked confused or worried. "This is High Chancellor Vextar of the Hegemony Coalition," the blue-skinned alien said. "Identify yourselves." Lee stepped forward. His simple uniform and calm manner made him look ordinary. The aliens had no idea what they were looking at. "I am Commander Lee Jinwoo of the Terran Republic," he said in a quiet voice. "We have returned to reclaim what was once ours." The aliens looked at each other. Some laughed. Others whispered. Morden slammed his fist on his chair. "Terrans!" he roared. "I knew it! The legendary weaklings have come back to play pretend!" "You claim to be Terrans," Vextar said more carefully. "But the Terran Empire fell 500,000 years ago. If it ever existed, you must be confused." Lee's expression did not change. "We were never an empire. We never fell. We simply left." "Left?" Scholar Zilandra leaned forward. "Why would you leave? The ruins suggest you controlled most of the galaxy." "Because we had to," Lee said simply. "We were becoming something dangerous, something the galaxy could not survive. So we chose exile." The aliens laughed harder now. Even Vextar smiled. "You expect us to believe that you left the galaxy voluntarily?" Mordan said. "That you gave up power out of kindness? Ridiculous." "Believe what you want," Lee said. "But we are here now, and we want our worlds back." "Your worlds?" Vexatar's voice grew cold. "Those worlds have been empty for 500,000 years. Some of our species have built colonies there. They belong to the Coalition now." "No," Lee said quietly. "They belong to us. They have always belonged to us. We simply let you borrow them." The transmission ended. The aliens sat in stunned silence for a moment, then burst into conversation. Most were angry, some were worried. Mordan was laughing. "Did you hear that?" he said to his officers. "They think they own the galaxy. These primitive creatures think they can just come back and take whatever they want." "What should we do?" one of his officers asked. "We teach them their place," Mordan said, showing his teeth. "We show them that the galaxy belongs to the strong now, and we are the strongest. On." His ship, Commander Lee, watched the Coalition fleets beginning to move. They were positioning themselves around his small group of ships. They thought they had him trapped. Dr. Park looked worried. "Sir, they have us outnumbered 1,000 to 1. "I know," Lee said calmly. "Should we call for backup?" "Not yet. Let them make the first move. Let them show the galaxy who they really are." Captain Kim checked his weapons. "Sir, they're surrounding us. All major Coalition fleets are moving into position." Lee nodded. This was going exactly as expected. The aliens had learned nothing in 500,000 years. They still thought in terms of bigger weapons and larger numbers. They had no idea what real power looked like. Ambassador Choi opened a channel to the Coalition fleets. "This is Commander Lee Jinwoo of the Terran Republic," Lee said, his voice carrying across space to every ship, every world, every alien in the Coalition. "We have come home! Stand down your weapons and prepare for negotiations!" Mordan's laughter echoed across the comm channels. "Or what, little human? You and your tiny fleet will fight all of us?" Lee's eyes grew cold. For just a moment, something ancient and terrible flickered across his face. Something that had conquered galaxies and burned worlds. Then it was gone, hidden behind calm control. "We prefer not to fight," he said quietly. "But if you insist, we will remind you why your ancestors feared the darkness between stars." We will show you why they built monuments to forgotten gods and whispered prayers to empty skies. The comm channel fell silent. Somewhere in the back of every alien mind, an old memory stirred. A racial fear that had been buried for 500,000 years. The fear of something that moved in the dark. Something that had ruled the galaxy when their species were still learning to make fire. "This is your last warning," Lee said. "Stand down." Mordan snarled and cut his comm channel. He turned to his fleet commanders. "All ships, attack formation. Show these humans what real power looks like." As the coalition fleets moved to attack, Lee stood perfectly still on his bridge. His crew watched him with calm faces. They had been waiting for this moment for 500,000 years. "Sir?" Captain Kim asked quietly. "Not yet," Lee said. "Let them come closer. Let them commit fully. When they strike, the galaxy will see what happens to those who threaten Earth's children." The stars watched in silence as two forces prepared for war. One was huge, confident, and proud. The other was small, quiet, and patient. Only one of them remembered what war really meant. The Coalition Council room buzzed with angry voices. Representatives from all 12 species argued about what to do with the humans. High Chancellor Vexitar tried to keep order, but everyone wanted to speak at once. "They are clearly confused," said Ambassador Krelta from the Peaceful Consortium. "These humans probably found some old ships and think they are the legendary Terrans. We should help them understand their mistake." War Chief Mordan slammed his fist on the table. "Help them! They threatened us! They claim to own our worlds! We should crush them before they cause more trouble." Scholar Zilandra stood up slowly. Her silver skin was pale with worry. "You are all missing the point. I have studied the ruins for my entire life. Those ships match the ancient designs perfectly. These really are Terrans." "Impossible," laughed General Hector of the Military Alliance. "The Terrans are myths, stories to scare children. Even if they were real, they disappeared because they were weak." "Then explain the ships," Zilandra said. "Explain the technology. Explain how they found us." Morden stood up, his huge frame casting shadows across the room. "I don't care what they are. They have 12 ships. We have 12,000. Numbers don't lie." Vextar raised his hand for silence. "The humans have agreed to meet with us. They want to negotiate. Perhaps we can solve this peacefully." "Negotiate what?" Morden growled. "They want our worlds. They want us to bow down to them. There is nothing to negotiate." "They seem reasonable," Vextar said. "Maybe we can offer them a small territory, a few empty systems, junior membership in the coalition." The other representatives nodded. This seemed fair. The humans could have some space, follow coalition rules, and everyone would be happy. "Send the offer," Vextar decided, "but make it clear that they must follow our laws. They are newcomers. Here. They need to learn their place." On his ship, Commander Lee read the coalition's message with a small smile. Ambassador Choi shook her head in disbelief. "They want to give us junior membership," she said. 3 star systems on the outer rim. No voting rights for 100 years, and we have to surrender all advanced technology for galactic safety." "How generous," Lee said quietly. Dr. Park looked up from her research station. "Commander, I've been studying their communications. They really don't understand who we are. They think we're refugees or survivors." "Of course they do," Lee said. "They have lived in peace for so long, they have forgotten what war looks like. They think power comes from having more ships." Captain Kim checked his sensors again. "Sir, more coalition fleets are arriving. They have us surrounded completely now. 15,000 ships, and they feel safe because of it," Lee said. "Send a message to Admiral Bay. Tell him it's time." Minutes later, space began to change around the coalition fleets. First, 1 ship appeared from nowhere, then 10, then 100, then thousands, the E. Human ships seemed to step out of empty space itself. They were sleek and dark, like shadows given form. They moved without sound, without energy signatures, without any of the normal signs that ships should have. On the Coalition command ship, alarms screamed. Sensor operators stared at their screens in confusion. "Where did they come from?" Vexitar demanded. "I don't know, sir," the sensor chief said. "They just appeared, like they were invisible." "How many?" I can't get an accurate count. At least 5,000, maybe more. They're still appearing." Admiral Bei Seungwan's voice came over the comm channels. His voice was calm and polite, like someone discussing the weather. "This is Admiral Bei of the Terran Deep Fleet. Chancellor Vextar, thank you for your generous offer. We decline." Vextar's blue skin grew darker with anger. "Admiral, you are outnumbered 3-1. You should consider our offer carefully." "Outnumbered?" Admiral Bei sounded amused. "Please check your sensors again." The Coalition sensor operators worked frantically. More ships kept appearing. The humans had been hiding somehow, making themselves invisible. Now the true size of their fleet was becoming clear. 10,000, whispered the sensor chief. 15,000, 20,000. "That's impossible," Mordan roared. "No one has that many ships." 30,000, the sensor chief continued. 40,000. "Sir, they're still coming." Admiral Bei's ship moved forward slowly. It was beautiful in a terrifying way, like a predator that knew it had no rivals. The Coalition ships moved back without orders, their crews feeling fear they couldn't explain. "Let me show you something," Admiral Bei said gently. His ship flickered and vanished. For a moment it was gone completely. Then it reappeared behind. The Coalition formation, then beside it, then in front again. It moved like a ghost, ignoring physics and space itself. "Stealth technology," Admiral Bei explained. "We have been watching you for a very long time. We know everything about you. Your ships, your weapons, your plans. We have been invisible observers in your peaceful galaxy." Dr. Lim Chaewon's voice joined the conversation. She sounded like a teacher explaining a simple lesson to children. "Your energy weapons use coherent light focused through crystal matrices. Effective range, 200,000 kilometers. Your kinetic weapons fire tungsten slugs at 40% light speed. Your shields use electromagnetic field manipulation." The Coalition representatives listened in growing horror as she described their most secret military technology with perfect accuracy. "Your weakness," Dr. Lim continued, "is that you think bigger means better. You build large ships with powerful weapons, but you never learn to think beyond what you can see." To prove her point, a human ship smaller than a Coalition fighter, craft moved between two massive alien battleships. The battleships fired at it with everything they had. The weapons passed right through the human ship like it wasn't there. "Phase technology," Dr. Lim explained. "We exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Your weapons can only hit us if we choose to let them." Engineer Shin Naeun's voice was cheerful and friendly. "Your gravity drives are quite clever, but you're using them wrong. Watch this." A human ship moved toward a Coalition battleship. As it approached, the battleship began to stretch and bend like it was being pulled by invisible hands. The human ship was manipulating gravity itself, turning space into a weapon. "Please stop," the battleship's captain begged over the comm. "My ship is breaking apart." The human ship backed away, and the battleship returned to normal shape. But the message was clear. Humans could destroy anything they wanted without firing a single shot. Major Han Tae-hyung spoke next. His voice was quiet and deadly serious. "You want to see our weapons?" Very well. A small human ship fired a single shot at an asteroid floating nearby. The asteroid didn't explode. It didn't break apart. It simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, the next moment there was nothing but empty space. "Matter dissolution," Major Han explained. "We can erase anything from reality itself. Ships, planets, stars. All of it can be unmade." The Coalition fleets sat in stunned silence. Their 15,000 ships suddenly seemed very small and helpless. Mordan's voice came over the comm, but it was different now. The laughter was gone. The confidence was gone. He sounded like a child trying to be brave in the dark. "Tricks," he said, but his voice shook. "Parlor tricks and illusions. You still can't fight all of us." "Can't we?" Admiral Bay asked gently. A human ship approached Mordan's flagship. It was tiny compared to the massive alien warship. The flagship fired every weapon it had. Lasers, missiles, kinetic rounds, plasma bolts, everything. Nothing touched the human ship. It moved through the weapons fire like it was swimming through water. Then it gently touched the flagship's hull. Instantly, every system on Mordan's ship shut down. Lights, engines, weapons, life support, everything. The ship drifted helplessly in space. "Your ship is now under our control," Admiral Bay said politely. "We can turn your weapons on your own fleet if we choose. We can shut down every ship you have with a thought." The lights came back on. The systems restarted. Mordan's ship was returned to him like a gift from a parent to a child. "This is what Terran technology looks like after 500,000 years of development," Admiral Bay said. "We have been preparing for this day since before your species learned to build fires." High Chancellor Vextar's voice was barely a whisper. "What do you want from us?" "Nothing you cannot give willingly," Commander Lee said, joining the conversation. Again. "We want our worlds back. We want recognition of our authority. And we want you to understand your place in the galaxy." "And if we refuse?" Vextar asked. Lee was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of ages. "Chancellor, your species has enjoyed peace for 500,000 years. Do you know why?" "Because we learned to work together," Vextar said. "No," Lee said softly. "Because we were gone. We were the wolves that kept the sheep in line. Without us, you grew soft and comfortable. You forgot what real predators look like." More human ships appeared from the darkness. The Coalition. Sensors couldn't count them anymore. They filled space like stars, silent and patient and absolutely deadly. "We are the inheritors of Earth," Lee continued. "We are the children of a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We learned to hunt mammoth and tigers with nothing but sharp sticks. We learned to tame fire and split atoms and bend space itself to our will." His voice grew colder. "You learned to live in peace. We learned to wage war. These are not the same thing." A single human fighter craft moved toward the center of the Coalition. The 24 hours passed like a nightmare for the Coalition. In meeting rooms across the galaxy, alien leaders argued and panicked. Some wanted to surrender immediately. Others wanted to fight. None of them had any good ideas. War Chief Mordan sat in his command center, staring at empty space where the human ships had been. His officers waited for orders, but he had none to give. Everything he knew about war had become useless in a single day. "Sir," his aide said carefully, "the other coalition leaders are asking for your decision." Mordan didn't answer. How could he fight an enemy that could turn his own ships against him? How could he win a war against opponents who could erase matter from existence? High Chancellor Vextar was having the same thoughts on his ship. The Coalition's greatest minds had spent all night trying to find a solution. They had found nothing. "We could scatter our fleets," suggested General Hector. "Make them chase us across the galaxy." "They have been watching us for 500,000 years," Vextar said tiredly. "They know where every ship is, where every base is hidden. There is nowhere to run." Scholar Zelandra looked up from her research files. "I found something in the old texts, a record from 500,000 years ago. It talks about the Terran." "Exodus. What does it say?" Vextar asked. "The Terrans didn't leave because they were defeated. They left because they were becoming too dangerous. The text says they could have destroyed all life in the galaxy, but they chose exile instead." The room fell silent. If the humans had been that powerful 500,000 years ago, what were they capable of now? "Sir, the communications officer said. "We're receiving a message from the human fleet." Commander Lee's face appeared on the screen. He looked exactly the same as before, calm and patient. But now the coalition leaders could see something else in his eyes, something old and patient and absolutely certain. "Have you made your decision?" Lee asked. Mordan leaned forward, trying to sound brave. "We want to know your terms." "Simple," Lee said. "Complete surrender. All coalition forces will stand down. All weapons will be powered down. You will acknowledge human authority over this galaxy." "And in return?" Vextar asked. "You will be allowed to live. Your species will continue to exist under human guidance. Those who prove trustworthy will be given responsibilities. Those who prove dangerous will be contained." "You're talking about slavery," General Hector snarled. Lee's expression didn't change. "No, General. I'm talking about survival. Your species has a choice: evolve or become extinct. We prefer evolution." Before anyone could respond, alarms began, screaming throughout the coalition fleet. Sensor operators stared at their screens in disbelief. "Sir," the sensor chief gasped, "the dead worlds! They're not dead anymore." On every screen, the same impossible sight appeared. The ancient human worlds that had been empty for 500,000 years were coming alive. Lights blazed on dead continents. Massive structures rose from barren ground. Orbital stations that had been dark ruins began to move and function. Earth itself blazed like a newborn star. The dead planet that had been a tomb for 500,000 years was awakening. Ancient machines stirred to life. Defense platforms older than most species activated their weapons. "Impossible," whispered Scholar Zilandra. "How can dead worlds come back to life?" General Ko Minyuk's voice answered her. His transmission came from Earth's orbital command center, a structure so massive it could be seen from space. "They were never dead," he said simply. "They were sleeping, waiting for our return." The view shifted to show Earth's surface. Cities were rising from the ground like flowers blooming in fast motion. Forests of metal and crystal grew across continents. The planet that had been empty wasteland was becoming a fortress that could defend itself against entire fleets. "This is the true power of Terra," General Ko continued. "Not just ships and weapons, but worlds that think and act as one. Planets that are weapons, solar systems that are fortresses." Captain Yu Somin's voice joined the conversation. She sounded young and excited, like someone enjoying a game. "The Coalition thinks in terms of ships fighting ships," she said. "We think bigger. Watch this." On the screens, a small human ship approached a Coalition outpost on the edge of space. The outpost had 1,000 defenders and enough firepower to destroy a fleet. But as the human ship got closer, something strange happened. The outpost's own defenses turned around and pointed inward. Its weapons began firing at its own structures. Its fighters attacked its own ships. In minutes, the defenders had destroyed themselves without the human ship firing a single shot. "Computer virus?" asked Vextar. "Better," Captain Yu laughed. "We built your computers. We wrote your software. Every ship, every station, every weapon you have contains human technology. We can control all of it whenever we choose." "Dr. Jang." Hyunsu's voice was more serious. "Your species discovered quantum computing on the ruins of Kepler 438b. You found gravity manipulation technology on Wolf 359c. You found your medical advances on Gliesa 667cc. All of it was gifts we left for you. All of it has backdoors that we can access." The Coalition leaders stared at each other in growing horror. Their entire civilization was built on human technology. Every advance they had made, every tool they used, every weapon they carried belonged to their enemies. "You planned this," Mordan said slowly. "All of it. For 500,000 years." "Of course we did," Commander Lee said. "Did you think we would leave and never return? Did you think we would abandon our home forever?" Operative Kim Ji-yeon spoke next. Her voice was soft and friendly, like someone sharing a secret with old friends. "I have been living among you for 3,000 years," she said. "I worked in your governments. I helped write your laws. I guided your decisions. And I am not alone." Images appeared on the screens, faces that the coalition leaders recognized. Trusted advisors, brilliant scientists, respected generals, all of them human. All of them spies who had been guiding alien civilization for millennia. "Impossible," Vextar breathed. "You look exactly like us. Shape-shifting is not difficult when you understand genetics," Operative Kim explained. "We have been every species at various times. We have been your friends, your teachers, your leaders. We have been watching and guiding and preparing." More. Alarms sounded as coalition sensors detected new activity. All across the galaxy, human bases were revealing themselves. Hidden shipyards that had been building fleets for centuries. Research stations that had been developing new weapons. Military academies that had been training soldiers in the darkness between stars. "How many of you are there?" Scholar Zilandra asked in a whisper. General Ko answered from Earth. "How many stars are in the galaxy? How many planets capable of supporting life? We have had 500,000 years to spread and grow and prepare. We are everywhere." The screens showed human fleets emerging from hidden bases throughout coalition space. They came from asteroid belts and nebulae, from the hearts of gas giants and the cores of dead stars. They had been everywhere, watching and waiting. Dr. Song. Minwoo spoke from a research station near the galactic core. "Your species fought 17 major wars in the last 100,000 years. Each time, mysterious events ended the conflicts before they could spread. Supply lines failed. Computer systems crashed. Key leaders had accidents. You thought you were lucky." "It was you," Vextar said. "It was us," Dr. Song confirmed. "We have been the invisible hand guiding your civilization. Every time you threatened to destroy yourselves, we intervened. Every time you grew too aggressive, we reminded you of the benefits of peace." Commander O Jinhee's voice was cold and professional. "The brutal empire fought the peaceful consortium 60,000 years ago. The war lasted 3 days before both fleets suffered total system failures. You blamed solar flares." Mordan's face went pale. He remembered that war. His own grandfather had commanded the brutal empire's fleet. The sudden system failures had been a mystery that military scientists still studied. "The trade war of the Outer Rim 30,000 years ago," Commander O continued. 7 species fought over mining rights. Their entire fleets vanished overnight. You blamed pirates and space anomalies. The Crystal Rebellion 15,000 years ago. The Synthetic Uprising 8,000 years ago. The religious wars of the inner worlds 3,000 years ago. Every conflict that threatened galactic stability ended the same way, with mysterious technical failures and impossible coincidences. The coalition leaders sat in stunned silence as the truth sank in. They had never been in control of their own galaxy. Every decision, every war, every peace treaty had been influenced by invisible human guardians. "You have been our prisoners for 500,000 years," Commander Lee said quietly. "You just didn't know it." "Why?" Vextar asked. "Why control us? Why not just destroy us?" Lee's expression softened slightly. "Because we learned wisdom during our exile. We learned that power without purpose is meaningless. We learned that destruction is easy, but creation is hard." "Your species have potential," General Ko added from Earth. "Given time and guidance, you could become something great. But you need to be protected from yourselves until you grow wise, enough to handle real power." Fleet Admiral Ryu Sang-woo spoke for the first time. His voice carried absolute authority, like someone who had never been disobeyed. The T.I. War Chief Mordan stood in his arena, watching his greatest warrior prepare for battle. Graktel was 8 feet tall and covered in natural armor. He had never lost a fight. He had killed 100 enemies with his bare hands. He was the pride of the brutal empire. But Mordan felt no confidence as he watched Graktel stretch his massive muscles. The human fleet hung in space around his world like a metal storm cloud. Their ships were silent and patient, waiting for the combat to begin. "War, Chief?" Gractel rumbled in his deep voice. "What do we know about this human warrior?" Mordan had been asking himself the same question all night. The humans had said only that their champion was ready. No name, no description, no threats or boasts. Nothing, Mordan admitted. They revealed nothing about their fighter. "Good," Gractel grinned, showing teeth like knives. "I prefer surprises. It makes victory more satisfying." Across the galaxy, other coalition leaders watched the arena through their screens. This combat would decide more than the fate of the brutal empire. It would show the galaxy what human warriors were truly capable of. High Chancellor Vextar sat with his advisors, hoping that Gractel might win. If the humans could be beaten in single combat, perhaps they could be beaten in war. Scholar Zil Andra was less hopeful. She had spent the night studying every text about ancient Terran warriors. The stories were terrifying, but she had always thought they were myths. Now she wondered if they were warnings. The arena filled with spectators from across the brutal empire. Warriors, generals, and citizens came to watch their greatest champion defend their honor. They cheered and roared, confident that no single human could match their mighty Gractel. Commander Lee's voice came from the human ships overhead. "War Chief Mordan, are you ready to begin?" "We are ready," Mordan declared. "Where is your champion?" "She is here." A single human shuttle landed in the center of the arena. The crowd fell silent as the door opened. They expected to see a massive warrior in heavy armor carrying terrible weapons. Instead, a young woman stepped out. She was small and slender, wearing simple clothes. She had no armor, no weapons, no protection of any kind. She looked like someone who had gotten lost on the way to a library. Colonel Park Yunji walked to the center of the arena like she was taking a casual stroll. Her dark hair was tied back in a simple ponytail. Her hands were empty. She smiled at the crowd like she was greeting old friends. The audience began to laugh. This tiny human woman was supposed to fight Gractel. It was ridiculous. It was insulting. Gractel looked down at her with confusion. "Human, are you lost? This is a combat arena, not a place for children." Colonel Park looked up at him with bright, curious eyes. "Oh, I'm not lost. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. You must be Gractel. I've heard so much about you. You have heard of me?" Gractel seemed pleased. "Good. Then you know that you should surrender now before I hurt you." "That's sweet of you to worry," Colonel Park said cheerfully. "But I think there's been a misunderstanding. You see, I'm not here to fight you." Gractel frowned. "Then why are you here?" Colonel Park's smile grew wider. "I'm here to demonstrate why your species kneels." Before anyone could react, she moved. One moment she was standing 10 feet away from Gractel. The next moment her hand was touching his chest. Gractel looked down in confusion. He didn't feel anything. Then he looked closer and saw that her fingers had gone through his armor like it was made of paper. Her hand was inside his chest, wrapped gently around his heart. "Your heart is beating very fast," she said conversationally. "Are you nervous?" Gractel tried to move, but his body wouldn't obey. He tried to speak, but no words came. He could only stare as this small human woman held his life in her hand. "The thing about evolution," Colonel Park continued, still smiling, "is that it never stops. Your species evolved on a world with low gravity and gentle predators. You grew large and strong because size mattered on your world." She squeezed gently, and Gractel felt his heart skip a beat. "Humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day. We didn't grow large. We grew fast. We grew smart. We grew deadly." The arena was completely silent. Thousands of warriors watched in horror as their greatest champion stood helpless in the hands of a small human woman. "We spent 500,000 years in exile," Colonel Park said. "We didn't waste that time. We perfected ourselves. We became everything we could be." She pulled her hand back, and Gractel collapsed to his knees. He was alive, but barely. His heart was beating irregularly, and his whole body shook with shock. "We learned to move faster than thought," Colonel Park explained to the crowd. "We learned to see through matter itself. We learned to make our bodies harder than steel or softer than air as needed." To demonstrate, she walked over to the arena wall. It was made of solid metal, 3 feet thick. She pressed her hand against it and pushed. Her hand went through the metal like it was water. "We learned to control gravity, magnetism, and nuclear force," she continued. "We learned to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. We became something beyond what any other species could. Imagine!" Gractel tried to stand, but Colonel Park was suddenly behind him. He hadn't seen her move. One moment she was at the wall, the next she was touching his shoulder. "But most importantly," she said softly, "we learned patience. We learned wisdom. We learned that true strength comes from knowing when not to kill." She helped Gractel to his feet. Her touch was gentle, like a mother helping a child. "I could have killed you in the first second," she told him quietly. "I could have killed everyone in this arena without breaking a sweat. I could have killed everyone on this planet. Before your people knew I was here." Gractel stared at her with new understanding. This small human woman was not just a warrior. She was a force of nature disguised as a person. "Why didn't you?" he whispered. "Because killing is easy," Colonel Park said. "Teaching is hard, and we prefer to teach." She turned to address the entire arena. Her voice carried to every corner, without amplification. "People of the brutal empire, you value strength above all else. You believe that power comes from size and aggression. But you are wrong," she gestured to Gractel, who was still struggling to breathe normally. "Your greatest warrior could not even see me move. Your strongest weapons could not touch me. Your hardest armor could not protect you. This is not because you are weak. This is because you never learned what real strength looks like." "War Chief." Mordan found his voice. "What do you want from us?" "We want you to evolve," Colonel Park said simply. "We want you to become something better than you are." Dr. Song Minwoo's voice came from the human ships overhead. "The brutal empire has potential. Your species is naturally strong and brave, but you waste these gifts on meaningless violence." Colonel Park nodded. "We will teach you how to use your strength to build instead of destroy. We will show you how to be warriors who protect instead of warriors who conquer." "And if we refuse?" Mordan asked. Colonel Park's smile disappeared for the first time. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of 500,000 years of human evolution. "Then you will learn why the galaxy once whispered our name in fear. You will discover what happens when patient teachers become impatient gods." She moved again, faster than anyone could follow. Suddenly, she was standing next to Mordan on his command platform, 50 feet above the arena floor. "Your empire has a choice," she said quietly. Her words meant only for him. "Become our students, or become our cautionary tale. Evolve with our guidance, or become extinct by our judgment." Mordan looked into her eyes and saw something that made his blood freeze. He saw the compressed fury of an entire species that had learned to control its anger but not forget it. He saw the patient rage of hunters who had been holding back for 500,000 years. "We surrender," he whispered. Colonel Park's smile returned immediately. "Excellent choice. You'll find that surrender is much more comfortable than extinction." She stepped backward off the platform and fell 50 feet to the arena floor. But instead of hitting the ground, she simply stopped in mid-air and settled gently to the sand. "The combat is over," she announced to the crowd. The brutal empire has shown wisdom by choosing evolution over extinction. You will be given new purposes, new goals, and new understanding of what strength really means. Commander O Jinhee's voice came from space. All brutal empire fleets will power down their weapons and prepare for human oversight. Your warriors will be retrained. Your society will be restructured. Your species will be given the chance to become something worthy of the stars. The crowd sat in stunned silence. Their greatest warrior had been defeated without a fight. Their war chief had surrendered without firing a shot. Their entire way of life was about to change. But as they watched Colonel Park walk calmly back to her shuttle, many of them felt something unexpected: relief. For the first time in their lives, they didn't have to worry about being the strongest. Someone else would take that burden. Admiral Nam Seoyoung's voice reached every ship in the galaxy. The brutal empire has made their choice. Other coalition members, you have seen what human patience looks like. You have seen what human mercy looks like. Do not mistake these gifts for weakness. The galaxy belongs to humanity, Fleet Admiral Ryu added. It has always belonged to humanity. We left to learn wisdom. We have returned to share it. Those who accept our guidance will prosper. Those who resist 1 year later, the galaxy was a different place. The hegemony coalition was gone, replaced by something new, something better. The Terran Republic now guided 12 species toward a future none of them had imagined possible. Emperor Ko Min-yuk stood on the observation deck of Terra Prime, watching ships from across the galaxy arrive for the first Galactic Unity Festival. Human ships flew alongside alien vessels in perfect formation. The sight would have been impossible just a year ago. The transformation is remarkable, Chancellor Li Jiwan said, joining him at the window. The peaceful consortium has exceeded all expectations. Their new cities are beautiful. Ko nodded, watching a convoy of consortium ships deliver art and music to Earth. The peaceful consortium had always been creative, but under human guidance they had become true artists. Their works now inspired species across the galaxy. What? About the brutal empire? Ko asked. Mordan's people have surprised everyone. Chancellor Li smiled. Once they understood that real strength means protecting others, they became the galaxy's finest peacekeepers. Graktel himself leads the new Guardian Corps. Through the window, they could see massive ships painted in the bright colors of the former brutal empire. But these ships carried medical supplies and disaster relief equipment instead of weapons. The warriors who once conquered worlds now saved them. Dr. Kang Dong-yun's voice came through the communication system. Emperor, the education reports are ready for your review. What do they show? Ko asked. Remarkable progress. The alien species are learning faster than we predicted. The synthetics have already mastered quantum engineering. The crystal builders are developing new forms of art that exist in 11 dimensions. The Trade Federation has created economic models that eliminate poverty. Ko smiled with satisfaction. This was what they had hoped for during their long exile. Not conquest, but cooperation. Not domination, but guidance. Admiral Nam Seoyoung approached with her daily security report. Emperor, all sectors remain peaceful. No conflicts, no rebellions, no resistance movements. The transition to human leadership is complete. Any problems? Ko asked. Only good problems. Admiral Nam grinned. Species are competing to contribute more to galactic civilization. The Mining Guild has volunteered to terraform dead worlds for free. The Agricultural Collective is producing enough food to feed twice the current population. Chancellor Li pulled up a holographic display showing galactic statistics. Crime rates had dropped to almost zero. Scientific advancement had increased by 3,000%. Quality of life measurements were the highest in recorded history. The species are thriving under our guidance, she said. They're becoming everything we hoped they could be. Emperor Ko walked to his command center, where representatives from all 12 species waited for their daily briefing. Their faces showed respect, gratitude, and something that had been missing from the galaxy for too long: hope. "Friends," Ko said, addressing them all, "you have worked hard this year. Your species have grown and learned and achieved wonders. I am proud of each of you." Ambassador Vexitar, the former High Chancellor, stood up first. His blue skin seemed brighter than before, healthier. "Emperor Ko, my people wish to express their gratitude. The technology you have shared with us has eliminated disease from our worlds. Our children are growing up stronger and smarter than ever before." "Your people earned that technology through their dedication to peace," Ko replied. "You chose cooperation over conflict. You chose growth over stagnation." War Chief Mordan stepped forward next. The massive alien warrior looked different now. He still wore armor, but it was decorated with symbols of protection instead of conquest. "Emperor, the Guardian Corps has completed peacekeeping missions on 47 worlds this month. We have saved over 1 million lives." "Your people have found their true calling," Ko said warmly. "You were always meant to be protectors, not destroyers." "Scholar," Zealandra spoke for the Scientific Coalition. "Emperor, our joint research projects have yielded incredible results. We have cured 17 diseases, developed new forms of clean energy, and mapped previously unknown regions of space." "Knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied," Ko agreed. "When species work together, there is no limit to what they can achieve." Dr. Kang stepped forward with a special report. "Emperor, I have news that will interest everyone. Our long-range sensors have detected signals from beyond the galactic rim." The room fell silent. Beyond the rim was unknown territory where dangerous things might live. "What kind of signals?" Ko asked. "Distress calls, from a species we don't recognize. They appear to be under attack by some kind of aggressive force." The alien representatives looked at each other nervously. In the old days, they would have ignored distant problems, but under human guidance, they had learned that all intelligent life was precious. "What do you recommend?" Emperor Ko asked the assembly. Mordan spoke first. "The Guardian Corps volunteers to investigate. If people are in danger, we should help them." "My people can provide medical support," offered the representative from the Healing Worlds. "The Trade Federation can supply whatever resources are needed," added another voice. "The Scientific Coalition will analyze the threat and develop countermeasures," Zealandra said. Emperor Ko looked around the room with pride. A year ago, these species had been suspicious rivals. Now they were volunteering to risk their lives for strangers. "Very well," he decided. "We will mount a rescue mission, but this will be different from the old Coalition's military adventures. We go to save lives, not to conquer territory." Admiral Nam stepped forward. "Emperor, should human forces take the lead?" Ko considered this carefully. "No. This will be a joint mission. The alien species will lead, with human support. It's time for them to show the galaxy what they have learned." The representatives straightened with pride. Emperor Ko was trusting them with a real mission. He believed they were ready to act independently. Chancellor Li began organizing the mission. "The Guardian Corps will provide security. The Healing Worlds will handle medical treatment. The Scientific Coalition will study the threat. The Trade Federation will manage supplies. And the Peaceful Consortium will handle diplomatic contact." "What about us humans?" asked Dr. Kang. "We will watch and guide when needed," Ko said. "But this is their chance to prove they have truly evolved." 3 months later, the joint galactic fleet returned from beyond the rim. They brought with them a new species called the Wanderers, refugees from a terrible war in distant space. The mission had been a complete success. Commander Li Jinwu, now serving as a diplomatic advisor, gave the final report. The alien species performed perfectly. They worked together without conflict. They showed mercy to enemies and kindness to refugees. They have truly become worthy inheritors of galactic civilization. The Wanderers were given homes on empty worlds that the Galactic Alliance terraformed specifically for them. They brought new knowledge, new art, and new perspectives that enriched everyone. Emperor Ko stood once again on his observation deck, watching the galaxy at work. Ships traveled freely between worlds. Trade flowed without conflict. Knowledge spread without restriction. Art and music and literature bloomed like flowers after rain. "We did it," Chancellor Li said softly. "We kept our promise." "What promise?" Ko asked. "The promise we made to ourselves during exile, that we would return not as conquerors, but as gardeners, that we would help other species grow instead of crushing them." Ko nodded, remembering those dark years when humanity had struggled with its own nature. They had chosen the hard path of self-improvement over the easy path of domination. Now they could see the results. "The galaxy is finally at peace," he said. "Real peace. Not the fragile peace of equals who fear each other, but the strong peace of a family that trusts each other." Young Captain Yu Somin approached with the latest reports from human deep space scouts. "Emperor, our explorers have found signs of other galaxies with intelligent life, some friendly, some hostile." "Are any of them threats to us?" Ko asked. "Not to us," Captain Yu grinned. "But they might be threats to less developed species. Should we intervene?" Emperor Ko looked out at the thriving galaxy, then at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, other species were struggling with the same problems the Coalition had faced. They needed guidance. They needed protection. They needed gardeners. "Send diplomatic missions to the friendly galaxies," he decided. "Offer them the same choice we offered the Coalition. Join our alliance and learn to live in peace, or remain isolated until they're ready." "And the hostile galaxies?" Captain Yu asked. Ko's eyes grew hard for a moment, showing a glimpse of the ancient human warrior that still lived beneath the wise emperor. "Monitor them carefully. If they threaten our allies or attack innocent species, we will remind them why the universe fears the children of Earth." He turned back to the window, watching alien children play together in the parks of Terra Prime. Human children played with them, all of them laughing and learning together. "But for now," he said softly, "let's enjoy what we've built. The galaxy is finally the paradise we dreamed of during our exile. The species are thriving, peace reigns, knowledge grows, and somewhere out there the children of all our